Hi, my name is Andy, and today I'm going to be talking to you about DeepCrawl versus ScreamFrog and which of these two crawling tools is best for your website. So, I attend quite a lot of conferences globally and in quite a few Facebook groups and Slack groups, etc. And one of the most frequently asked questions is which tool is best for my website, DeepCrawl or ScreamFrog? And there are other crawling tools out there, but the main two big ones are DeepCrawl and ScreamFrog. And the answer to the question is really it depends on your website and on your needs. So I'm going to talk to you through a few reasons today about where each platform excels and where there might be limitations to give you a better understanding of which tool is best for you. Before we get into this, I've been using ScreamFrog now for about 5 years and DeepCrawl for about 3 years. So I've seen the platforms evolve over the years, and we're going to be talking about the latest versions. So let's get into it. Website size. Knowing the size of your website is important here because ScreamFrog is a desktop application. It uses your power of your machine to go and crawl websites. This has been filmed on my MacBook Air, which is from about 2013, so it's about 5 years old, and it can handle easily, not easily, but it can handle, say, a 10,000 page website to go and crawl. Because I crawl responsibly and ethically, I tend to crawl 3 URLs a second because I've had issues before where I've gone too fast and impacted the performance of the website. So, the problem is if you crawl a 10,000 page website at 3 URLs a second, that's between 6 and 8 hours that I can't use my Mac for, so it kind of wastes a day. Whereas DeepCrawl is a cloud-based solution, so you just log in, start crawling, off it goes. It doesn't use your machine. So for that instance, I'm going to say DeepCrawl is the best of the two. And I've started to use my iPad Pro more often now, which ScreamFrog can't work on there. So it means I can just log in quickly and crawl crawl any websites using DeepCrawl. That said, ScreamFrog has recently released a new feature where you can plug in a hard drive, an SSD into your computer and crawl it from that. I've never used this feature, but I know Dan from ScreamFrog has really been pushing this feature that it allows you to crawl much bigger websites. Like I said, personally, I've never used it. It does sound pretty cool, but I'll stick to using DeepCrawl for larger websites because I don't really want to use my Mac or not be able to use my Mac while it's crawling. Scheduling of crawls. Obviously, if you're only going to crawl a website once, scheduling is not that important. But with a lot of clients and customers, you might want to regularly crawl, so it might be weekly, monthly, and DeepCrawl gives you this option. There are other frequencies that you can choose, but weekly and monthly are probably the most popular two. So if you want to crawl a website, say every Sunday, so that when you get into the office on Monday, you can see what errors have been fixed and what errors have arisen in the previous week, that report is ready for you. Common misperception is that can't be done with ScreamFrog. That is not technically true, but it's just a lot more complicated to set up. So if you're using Windows, you can use Windows Task Manager and schedule items to go crawling. So it can be done in ScreamFrog, it's just a lot more difficult to set up. That's why I prefer DeepCrawl, because it is a cloud-based thing. I just set them to go weekly or monthly, and it goes off and does it. I don't have to worry about it. Obviously, if you only crawl a website once, comparing them is not really, it can't be done. But if you've done multiple crawls, you want to see what issues are new, what have been fixed, what's got worse, etc. So comparing them is a pretty useful tool. Like I said, I've been using ScreamFrog for about 5 years, so I used to do this with ScreamFrog, but I now prefer DeepCrawl. ScreamFrog, obviously, you download each crawl into Excel and have 2 different tabs. And then you just, in a third tab, you just do VLOOKUPs and some ifs to do the calculation difference, to tell you what's improved, what's got worse, how many new errors have been found. Whereas DeepCrawl, because it is a web-based application, it just tells you it's on after your second crawl, these errors have improved, these have got worse, there are now more of these, this is a new error, these are all completely been fixed. So it's a nice little dashboard. When you log in, you can quickly see what's been done and what hasn't done. And that's quite good for monitoring dev tasks, because if you're managing multiple clients, so you've got a big dev team, they might say something's been done, and they might even think it has been done, but that's not always the case. So it's good to always check what devs are doing. So comparing it is a useful feature. List of URLs. As well as doing a lot of technical audits, we do a lot of server log audits, and with server logs, we tend to look at the last 6 months worth of data, just so we can get a bigger picture of what Googlebot, etc., is doing on the website. Problem is, if you're looking at errors from 6 months ago, a developer might have been in there and fixed them. It could have just been naturally been fixed. The page could have gone, etc. So what we like to do is, before we report to a client that, say, they've got 404 errors, we'll chuck that list into Screaming Frog and see what your current status is. It could have already been 301, so it could have been fixed. It could still be 404. It could be anything, but it could be 200 response. They could have sorted out the page. So rather than giving them issues that they've already fixed and addressed, we're giving them the latest stuff. Turns out, when I wrote the article originally, I didn't think you could do this in DeepCrawl, but it turns out you can. There is a little option at the bottom which is crawl list URLs. The problem is, as soon as you start doing that, it then starts messing up your comparing because it classes it as a new crawl. So if you've chucked in 5,000 URLs to go on crawl, it classes that as a new crawl, so it start comparing to the previous crawl, which is not what you want. It kind of needs to be a separate feature altogether. So Screaming Frog is definitely the best for this. It's quicker. DeepCrawl, obviously, when you schedule a crawl of a list of URLs, you then go into a priority queue, and then you have to wait for it to go and crawl. Whereas Screaming Frog is instantaneous. If you want to crawl in 25, 30 URLs, you can wait ages for DeepCrawl to be in your turn to go and use their bots to go and crawl, whereas Screaming Frog it will be done in minutes. Even if the list is 500, 1,000 URLs, Screaming Frog is a tool. Just chuck it in there, go and make a cup of tea, come back, it's usually done. So Screaming Frog definitely wins if you just need to crawl a list of URLs. The number of websites. Now, if you just work in-house for one company and you've only got one website to manage, this is an issue. But if you work for a small agency, or any agency actually, you work in-house and you've got multiple sub-brands that you need to crawl, or you're an affiliate and you have multiple affiliate websites or lead generation websites you want to crawl, then the number of websites is important. Going back to, so DeepCrawl, we'll come on to cost in a minute, but basically DeepCrawl is a cloud-based platform, so you pay per URLs you crawl. And with their basic plan, you're only allowed 5 projects. And a project basically is a new website. So you can crawl website A, B, C, D, and E. And they can be different each month. Each month is a fresh 5, but it's maximum 5 on their basic plan. Whereas with Screaming Frog, once you've paid their fee, it's unlimited. The limitations are your machine. So if you've got loads of little websites to crawl, Screaming Frog is definitely going to be the better tool here. Because once you start adding more and more projects on, DeepCrawl becomes more and more expensive. So if you've only got one website, this is nothing to worry about. But if you've got multiple websites, especially multiple small websites, Screaming Frog is definitely going to be a solution because multiple small websites on DeepCrawl will soon start getting expensive for you. Let's be honest, the main reason we're going to use one of these tools is to find errors. And how many errors we find is important. Errors like 400s, 404s, 302s, 301s, they do find the same amount of errors. Like the actual tools themselves don't find any different numbers. That the errors are the errors, but there are a few differences. DeepCrawl, you can link into tools like Google Analytics, Webmaster Tools, but with DeepCrawl, it'll also do things like look at the sitemaps, and this can be done in Screaming Frog, but it's a lot more complicated. But DeepCrawl will crawl your sitemap and go, you've got these 500 pages, but only 300 in your sitemap. These 200 aren't in your sitemap that you want them to be indexed. Obviously, that's quite a common error that people do, not put all the URLs into the sitemap. Again, it can be done in Screaming Frog. You just have to download the sitemap into one tab, download the crawl from Screaming Frog into another, do a VLOOKUP. It can be done. It's just much, much easier in DeepCrawl. However, one of the best features about Screaming Frog is, and this can't be done in DeepCrawl, is image size. We know images are an important factor for slowing down a page. We know page speed is important, especially on mobile. So if you get a crawl for a website and you can then sort by images and look at the size of the images. Usually a lot of them images can be compressed. It's the quickest way to find large images on a website which can be slowing down the website. Can't be doing DeepCrawl, so I usually, especially for small websites, sub 1,000, maybe sub 5,000, I usually do a ScreamFrog and a DeepCrawl crawl of the website. So I get the images from ScreamFrog and also all the dashboarding, all the comparing, etc. from DeepCrawl. So I get best of both worlds. But find errors, I'll have to give it to DeepCrawl because it finds the errors for you and groups them. Whereas in ScreamFrog, you have to manually go and do the search and you have to filter and sort. So it's just a bit more complicated, whereas DeepCrawl's got a nice dashboard for you. Costs. So I've been talking throughout this about ScreamFrog, and when I say ScreamFrog, I mean the paid for version. ScreamFrog does offer a free version, but I think it's limited to 500 URLs, and it doesn't offer you some of the features, main features that come with ScreamFrog. ScreamFrog costs $149 a year, £149 a year. What's that? 12 quid a month, ish. Like you can afford £12 a month. ScreamFrog is no brainer at £12 a month. DeepCrawl on the other hand is a monthly fee, and their basic one starts at I think it's £69 a month, and for that you get 5 projects that I talked about earlier, and a maximum of 100,000 URLs you can crawl. So if all 5 sites, so site A, B, C, D, and E, are 20,000 pages each, perfect. You can crawl all 5 sites. If site A is 50,000 and the other 4 are 10,000, perfect. You've still got enough URLs. But if site A is 50,000, site B is 20,000, site C is 15, and these D and E are 10,000, you ain't gonna recrawl E. You will stop. So it depends on the number of pages you need to crawl to which plan you need, and how many you need to crawl. Because, like I said, the next project, next pricing tier allows you to crawl 10 projects, etc. And finally, we're going to look at the type of your website. This never used to be that important. So if it's built in HTML, PHP, or whatever, both can crawl perfectly well. No problem. It's when you get on to Angular, JavaScript, and any other JavaScript-based applications, DeepCrawl cannot crawl JavaScript, or if it can, it can't do it very well. We got a new client a few months ago, which was transitioning from the traditional website over to a website built in AngularJS. ScreamFrog was a lifesaver, especially in development mode, because DeepCrawl couldn't crawl a website. And this again is why you need to pay for ScreamFrog, because this feature is a paid for. But you can ask it to crawl JavaScript. Boom, off it went, crawled the website, found all the errors. I was able to report back, and I was able to get fixed before the live site went live. This can't be done in ScreamFrog. This can't be done in DeepCrawl, but it can be done in ScreamFrog, and that is one of the great things about ScreamFrog, is the ability to crawl JavaScript. So yeah, overall, which tool do I prefer? If I'm honest, I use both very frequently. You might not have the budgets for both. If you've only got a small website, maybe ScreamFrog will be good enough for you. If you've got large websites, maybe just DeepCrawl on its own. Personally, we use both here. And they're not, like the ScreamFrog's a one-off fee per year. It's not like it's a monthly fee like DeepCrawl. So yeah, I hope that answers your questions. Leave any comments below which ones you prefer, why do you prefer them, or if you don't use these 2 tools, which tools do you use for crawling your websites? Let us know. Thank you.